Hello everyone, this is Rig and today we are going to discuss about the rise of a Mahajanapad, that is Magad. How did Magad become important in the politics of ancient India? Before this we have discussed about Jainism and Buddhism, and before that we have discussed about the Vedic cultures. So proceeding on, today we will see how did the portion of Magad become so much powerful. Now this video has been made according to the ICSE or CISCE syllabus of class 6. However, if you are a history enthusiast, then obviously you can go through this video. It will help you in every kind of exams. So without doing any delay, let's start. And as always, please carry a notebook with you when you are watching these videos so that you can note down the important points. And also at the end of this video, we are going to discuss the important questions and their answers, which will help you to understand this chapter better. So let's go forward. At first, we will go through an introduction. Now, Jainism and Buddhism emerged around the 6th century BC in response to social and religious unrest in ancient India. We have already seen this in our last video that there was a Brahmanical culture in ancient India, that is the later Vedic culture. Now, later Vedic culture was very expensive to follow because people needed to follow a lot of ritualistic processes. Now, two new philosophies of religion called Jainism and Buddhism emerged, which was very simplistic when compared to the later Vedic culture. Hence, it became very attractive to the people. Therefore, people started following Jainism and Buddhism around 6th century BC. Both religions oppose the caste hierarchies and ritualistic practices prevalent in Brahmanism. In Brahmanism, there were caste hierarchies, means the society was divided into different castes like Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So, one person who is born in a Shudra caste would be attributed to the lower status in the society. No matter how much that person does hard work, how much educated he or she gets, that person will remain a Shudra only. So Jainism and Buddhism oppose this system, and so they became very popular. Jainism was founded by Vardhaman Mahavir, who emphasized on non-violence, ahimsa, truth, and ascetic living as the core values. So Jainism was founded by the 24th Tirthankar, who is Vardhamana Mahavir, and he emphasized on non-violence, means we will not hurt anyone. Truth means we will always speak the truth, and ascetic living means do not spend extravagantly. Do what is minimum requirement in your life. So that it was the philosophy of Jainism. Next up, we have Buddhism. Buddhism was established by Siddhartha Gautama, promoting the middle path that avoids both extreme indulgence and severe asceticism. So, Buddhism was promoted by a prince called Siddhartha Gautama who left all his luxurious life and went in search of truth, and he promoted the middle path. Middle path means we will not suffer a lot also, and we will not live a lot of luxurious life also. We will go in the middle, and that is the middle path which avoids extreme indulgence and severe asceticism. Both religions promoted equality and simplicity, attracting followers from various backgrounds, including kings, merchants, and commoners, due to their focus on personal salvation and moral principles. So these two religions became extremely popular. Even the kings, merchants, and common people became their followers because it was a very simplistic way of life. Now, what are Mahajanapadas? The smaller tribes of the Vedic period evolved into large Mahajanapadas, means great kingdoms, by 600 BC. So, in the Vedic period, we see that people have a tribal culture. Now, different tribes together, having the same cultural background, became concentrated in one area, and that area became their kingdom. So that kingdom is called a Mahajanapad, which is found in Indian history around 600 BC. 16 major Mahajanapadas were recorded, such as Kashi, Koshala, Vajji, and Magadha. So there were 16 major Mahajanapads, and the important ones among them were Kashi, Koshala, Vajji, and Magadha. Each Mahajanapad had unique features and developed distinctive forms of government. So each Mahajanapad had their own uniqueness. They had their own culture, they had their own festival, they had their own form of governance also. It is not only that every Mahajanapad had a king, some did not even have a king. So we will read about all those. How did each of the Mahajanapadas function? So everyone was unique in their own way. This period marked the beginning of organized kingdoms and significant shifts in the political landscape. So this period was the beginning of kingdoms. For the first time, kingdom appeared in the Indian subcontinent. Now, when kingdom appears, there will be a change in the political landscape, which means that there will be a change in the power structure. Hence, the tribal society will not function anymore. Major Mahajanapadas like Avanti, Koshala, Vajji, and Magad rose to power through military and political consolidation. So, all these Mahajanapadas, especially Avanti, Koshala, Vajji, and Magad, became very powerful because of their military power and political consolidation. So, that was all about the Mahajanapads. You can zoom in the map on the left and see what was the map according to 600 BC, where we can see 16 Mahajanapadas in the Indian subcontinent. Now, taxation system. To run a state or to run a government, you need to collect tax from people or collect money from people, collect resources from people. How did the taxation system function at that point of time? Tax were collected in kind or cash and funded the administration, military, public works, and welfare. So, what is meant by kind or cash? Kind means giving produce. Suppose there is a farmer who produces rice. Now, he may not have cash. So, what he will do? A portion of the rice will be given to the government as his tax. So, that is payment of tax by kind. And payment of tax by cash means giving tax in the form of money. And what was this tax collected for? It was collected for the purpose of administration, in order to manage the government. Then military. Military means in order to manage the army. Different kinds of public works were also done, like building of irrigation canals, building of roads, rest houses, hospitals. All these things come under public works and welfare activities. Farmers contributed one sixth of their produce as tax, while herders paid in kind. So, herders means people who used to rear animals. They paid in kind, means they did not pay the tax in the form of money. They used to pay the tax according to their produce. And what was the tax given by the farmer? One sixth of their produce. So total income, one sixth of the total income was taken by the government as tax. Taxes supported infrastructure like roads, wells, canals, essential for economic growth. So all these things are very much important for the growth of economy of a kingdom. So taxes was mainly used for the construction of roads, for the construction of wells. Wells were the most important sources of water at that point of time, and also canals. Canals means from the river, d- uh, a path of water was dug so that the water reaches the fields. Those are called canals. And all these things help in the economic growth or in the financial growth of a kingdom. Craftsmen contributed through their labor as a form of taxation. Now, those who are craftsmen means those who does different kinds of other works, like works of blacksmith, work of potters, leather workers, gold workers. So, how did they contribute to the taxation? They worked. Suppose for in a year there are 12 months, for 2 months they will work for the government for free. So that was their contribution as a tax. So their tax was in the form of labor. This organized system ensured the state had resources needed for governance and expansion. So, through this organized system, there was a sufficient resource management capability of the state, and all the resources were used properly for governance and expansion of the territories. Now, forms of government. What were the types of government? As I have already said, that it is not that the kingdom will always be governed by a king. In ancient India, there were many types of government. Even up to a large extent, there were democratic governments. So the Mahajanapads had two main types of government, that is, republic, Gana or Sangh, and monarchies. So these are the two types of government which the Mahajanapadas had. Republics such as Shakyas, Koliyas, and Mallas were usually led by a council representing a single tribe or a confederacy. Republic means a form of government in which a state is ruled by representatives of the citizen body. So, from the citizens, there used to be representatives, and these representatives used to represent a tribe or a confederacy. Now, different representatives used to come together and decide how to run the state. That is the system of republic, and such system used to happen in the Mahajanapads of Shakyas, Koliyas, and Mallas. Some republics had assemblies where representatives called Raja or Senapati were elected by the people. So, some of the republican states also had assemblies. Assemblies means gathering of people, and in those gathering, the representatives used to elect a Raja or a Senapati. So, that is how the republican form of government used to function. Then came the monarchies. Monarchies like Koshala and Magad were hereditary with power concentrated in the king. So, what are these kind of government structures? There were co- uh, used to be a king, which was a hereditary post. Post means the son of king will become the king. So there was no system of election. So here all the power rested in the hands of the king only. So, thus, there were monarchies also like Koshala and Magad. In the republics, governance was collaborative, while in monarchies, kings held centralized power and were the main tax recipients. So, in the republics, as we can understand, there were different representatives. Hence, the government was collaborative, means they used to talk with each other, they used to sit in meetings, they used to debate, they used to have discussions, and they used to decide what's best for the people. But in monarchies, the king had all the power and they were the main tax recipients. Now, location of Magad. Where is Magad located and how did the location help in its becoming so much of powerful? How did Magad become powerful? Because of its location. Magad was strategically located in Middle Ganga region, which is modern day Bihar, with its capital at Rajgir and later Patliputra. So Magad can be thought to be the modern day Bihar. So Bihar is in the Middle Ganga region. Middle Ganga region is extremely fertile and very good for agriculture. So, what was the capital of Magad? The capital city was at first Rajgir and later Patliputra became the capital of Magad. Patliputra corresponds to the modern day city of Patna. The location between Son and Ganga rivers provided fertile land and resources for agriculture. So, Son and Ganga are the two most important rivers in the kingdom or in the Mahajanapad of Magad, and they fertilized the soil. They provided fertile resources to the soil, which helped in booming of agriculture. There was very good agriculture in Magad in around 6th century BC. Proximity to Chota Nagpur's iron and copper deposits gave Magad a military and economic advantage. So Chota Nagpur Plateau is a physiographic landform in the states of Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, and also part of West Bengal. So, what is found in this plateau? We have abundance of iron, copper, and coal. Even today, this plateau is very much significant for its military resources. So, the people of Magad got lots of iron and copper at their disposal, because of which they could provide weapons to the military. They made weapons with the help of iron and coal, and so their military became very powerful. Thus, they also had an economic advantage as the producers of good quality iron. Hills around the capital acted as natural defenses, strengthening Magad's position. So there were different hills around the capital city. And what those hills used to do, they used to act as defenses. External attacks would be impossible on the city of Rajgir because it is very well fortified with natural hills. Access to timber and elephants in nearby forest boosted the kingdom's military might and provided trade advantages. So there were many trees in this region also, and because of those trees, they could get wood or timber. Now, wood and or timber is very much useful for any kind of constructions. And one of the most important other thing was availability of elephant. Now, elephant is a very powerful animal, and they had their extensive use in the military in the ancient times. So, because of availability of elephant, the military of Magad became very powerful. So, that is how the location of Magad helped in its becoming so much powerful. Now we will discuss in detail about the military might of the Magadhans, means how much they were powerful on the aspect of army. Magad maintained a strong standing army essential for defense and territorial expansion. So Magad had a strong standing army. Now here is an extra information that you need to know. That is, what is the difference between army and standing army? You must have heard this term standing army. Now what does it actually mean? What it is that in the olden times, in the ancient times, many kings did not have any army. Now you must be thinking, then how did they fight wars? They used to fight wars with the help of common people. Means suppose there is a king and there are farmers. So when there used to be war or when there was need for any kind of soldier, What he used to do, he used to call the farmers, and those farmers had a bit of military training. Now they used to come with their spears and swords, and they used to fight for the king. Again, after the fighting, they used to do their own jobs. Now this is the normal kind of army which used to happen before the age of 16 Mahajanapads. However, during this time, what we are discussing, during the rise of Magad, they had standing army. What is the meaning of standing army? That a soldier's only job would be to become a soldier. That person will not do anything else. That person will always be ready to fight for the kingdom. So that is how a standing army functions. Means the army is always ready. The king does not need to call the army or to get the army ready for a fight. The army is always ready because there are people whose job is to be only soldiers. So that is the meaning of the term standing army. And Magad maintained a very strong standing army, which provided essential support for defense. Defense means to prevent any attack on yourself, and also territorial expansion. They were pioneers in using elephants in warfares, giving them an edge over the rivals. So, when Magad was becoming powerful, that time it was only them who knew how to use elephants in war. And using elephants in war made them more powerful than the other kingdoms. The kingdom's large army was supported by resources from fertile agricultural lands. So, army, in order to maintain an army, you not only need money, but you also need food, because those people, there is like lakhs of people, and you need to feed them. So, how the feeding was possible? As we have already seen, that location of Magad was on the fertile Gangetic plains, which means that there was abundance of agriculture, and that agricultural produce supported the large standing army. Military strength allowed Magadh to control trade routes and secure resources. So, because of this military power, Magadh could control the trade routes. All the trade routes which used to flow through Magadh were given security, proper security by the government of Magadh, and thus they could secure the resources. These factors made Magad one of the most powerful Mahajanapads in ancient India. So, because of all these reasons, Magad became very much powerful in ancient India. Now, Bimbisar. Bimbisar is one of the first major kings of Magad, and he reigned from 543 to 491 BC. Bimbisar, the first major ruler of Magad, reigned with his capital at Rajgir. So, Bimbisar was the first major ruler of Magad. He was from the Haryanka dynasty. The dynasty from which Bimbisar came is called Haryanka dynasty, and his capital was in the city of Rajgir. He adopted a threefold strategy for expansion: matrimonial alliances, conquest, and friendly relations. So, there were three strategies which King Bimbishar adopted in order to expand his empire. The first one is matrimonial alliance, means marry a princess from other kingdom so that that kingdom becomes your friend or becomes your ally. So that is the meaning of matrimonial alliances. Next was through conquest. Through conquest means through directly going and fighting and conquering a kingdom. And the other one was friendly relations. That means becoming friendly with other kingdoms in order to get their resources. So that was the threefold strategy for expansion which was applied by King Bimbishar. Matrimonial alliances include marriage to the sister of Koshala king. So there was the kingdom of Koshala, and the sister of king of Koshala was Prasani. The king's name was Prasanjit and his sister was Prasani. And Bimbisar married Prasani, and in that marriage, the king Prasenjit of Koshala gave him the village of Kashi as dowry. So, thus, he gained territory with the help of marriage to the sister of a powerful king. Conquest included annexing Anga, adding new territories, and access to maritime trade. So, adding Anga is in northern Bihar and also in the northern part of present day Bengal. So that portion is called Ang. So Bimbisar went forward and conquered this territory of Ang, and thus he added new territories and also added access to trade routes. So that was how he followed the strategy of conquest, that is directly going and fighting and conquering a kingdom. Friendly relations with states like Avanti helped maintain stability and trade, boosting Magadh's prosperity. So having very powerful friends also helped Bimbishar, and such was the case with the relationship between king of Avanti and Bimbishar. They were very good friends, and because of this they could do proper business, and thus Magad became very prosperous. Now we will discuss about his son Ajatsatru, who reigned from 492 to 460 BC. Ajatsatru, the son of Bimbisar, pursued aggressive expansion policies to make Magad the paramount power. So Ajatsatru was a bit different from Bimbisar. Bimbisar followed three kind of policies in order to expand his kingdom. However, Ajatsatru followed the policy of aggressive expansion. Aggressive expansion means conquering a lot of area or expanding your own kingdom within a very short period of time. And that can be only possible with the help of battles and wars. So, thus, Magad became the paramount power with the help of aggressive expansion. Paramount power means becoming the most powerful kingdom. He defeated Koshala and Vajji, incorporating these regions into his kingdom. So, Koshala and Vajji were two other important Mahajanapads, and Ajatsatru defeated both of these territories, and he included the areas of Koshala and Vajji into his own kingdom, constructed fortifications and military bases to strengthen Magad's control. So there were military bases, means he kept a section of his army in different places in order to protect from the attacks. So he constructed fortifications. Fortifications means enclosing an area with a walled boundary, that is called fortification, and big great walls were used for this purpose in which the army could move. So walls used to protect the people from external threats, that is the process of fortification. His rule marked the zenith of Magad's dominance in the region. So Ajatsatru's rule was the time when Magad became most powerful in the region. Convened the first Buddhist council at Rajgir in 483 BC, highlighting his engagement with religious developments. So later on in his life, he became a very good supporter of Buddhism, and for the first time there was a Buddhist council organized in Rajgir. Buddhist council means different respected Buddhist monks from all over the world at that point of time gathered together in Rajgir in 483 BC in order to discuss about Buddhism. So that is how Ajatsatru was not only a military capable warrior, but also he was a supporter of Buddhism. So he was a very cultural ruler also. Next, we have the Nanda dynasty. Nanda dynasty came after the Haryanka dynasty, that is, after the reign of Bimbisar and Ajatsatru. Now, there were various kings in the Nanda dynasty. However, we will learn about the names of a few. The Nandas succeeded Haryanka dynasty, further strengthening Magadha. So, Nandas came after the Haryanka dynasty and they further strengthened the area of Magadha. Mahapadmananda was the dynasty's most prominent ruler, extending control to northwest India. So, Mahapadmananda was the most prominent ruler of this dynasty. He was the founder of this dynasty, and it was during the time of Mahapadmananda that Magad became so powerful. Their territory was in the northwestern part of India also. So, almost the whole of northern India was under the control of Nanda dynasty. The Nandas were known for their large standing army, considered one of the largest in ancient India. So, in ancient India, the largest army was at the time of the Nandas. So, Nandas were very much known for their large army, and it is considered that because of this army itself, the presence of the army itself, many invaders did not even dare to come to India because of the fear of this army. Their efficient administration helped them maintain power, although later Nanda rulers became unpopular. So, Nandas were very popular among the people in the beginning. In the beginning, they were loved by the people because of their efficient administration. Their governance system was very efficient and strong. But later on, the later Nanda kings became very uh, cruel and they were very corrupted. So later Nanda kings became unpopular among the people. The last Nanda ruler, Dhanananda, was overthrown by Chandragupta Maurya with the help of Chanakya, establishing the Mauryan Empire. So there was a young boy, Chandragupta Maurya, who overthrew the last Nanda king, Dhanananda. Chandragupta was a great warrior and Chanakya was a great strategist. So with the strategy of Chanakya and the bravery of Chandragupta, the power of Chandragupta and strategy of Chanakya, Dhanananda was defeated. So thus the Mauryan Empire came into being. That we will discuss in our next video. Now we will discuss about Alexander's invasion. As I have said before, that because of the military power of Nandas, many external invaders who were very powerful, they did not dare to come to India. Alexander was one such invader. He was the person who invaded India in around 326 BC, crossing the Indus and expanding his empire. So Alexander crossed the Indus River in the northwestern India and tried to expand his empire into Indian subcontinent. He appointed Greek officials to govern his new territories in India. So to govern his new territories in India, he appointed many Greek officials. Later on, those Greek officials who stayed after the death of Alexander came to be known as Indo-Greeks. However, about that we will read later on, but now we will see the Greek officials were appointed by Alexander in order to govern his territories in India. The invasion weakened several northwestern Indian kingdoms, destabilizing the region. So there were many kingdoms in northwestern India like Gandhar. So all these areas became weak because of the invasion of Alexander. Alexander's campaign created political upheaval, paving the way for Chandragupta Maurya's rise. So, because of Alexander, all the Mahajanapads became very weak, and that weakness was used by Chandragupta Maurya in order to become the first emperor of India. So, Alexander, in a way, helped Chandragupta Maurya to become the emperor. His invasion marked the first contact between India and the Western world, influencing trade and cultural exchanges. So, because of Alexander, it was the first time Indians came to know about the Western world, and thus there was a cultural exchange, and also there were trading activities conducted between the Western part of the world with India. Now, war with Poras. Poras was a king in the northwestern part of India. He fought a brilliant war with Alexander. King Porus ruled in the region between Jhelum and Chenab rivers. So, Jhelum and Chenab rivers are the tributaries of Indus, and it can be considered that this region was the region of Punjab. So, King Porus fought a war with Alexander in this region because he was the king in the land between Jhelum and Chenab river. In legendary encounter, he opposed Alexander's forces at the Battle of Hydaspes. So, at the Battle of Hydaspes, King Porus faced Alexander and he fought bravely with the mighty Greek ruler. Porus fought valiantly, earning Alexander's respect despite his defeat. So, according to the sources of old historians, Porus was defeated, but modern day historians say that Alexander was the actual person defeated. So, Porus fought valiantly, earning the respect of Alexander. According to Indian tradition, Porus allegedly forced Alexander to retreat after a fierce battle. So, according to Indian sources or according to the Indian evidences, we come to know that it was Porus because of whom Alexander could not come into India. Alexander went back to Babylon after facing Porus. So, if Alexander would have actually won, why didn't he come to India after defeating Porus? That means he must have lost. So, according to Indian tradition, it was Porus who forced Alexander to retreat. Retreat means to go back. The battle demonstrated Indian resilience and highlighted the strength and challenges of Indian armies. So, from this battle, the mighty Alexander, all the way from Greek, he conquered everything. But when he faced Porus, he retreated. So, from this, we come to know the power of the Indian rulers at that point of time, how much powerful Indian army was. And it is to be noted that Porus was not a very great king. He was king of a very small state. So, king of such a small state also forced Alexander to retreat. So, what would have happened if Alexander actually faced any great king of central India? So, that is a debate to be speculated, but we know this that because of Porus, Alexander turned back into Babylon, and after a few months, he eventually died. Now, we will discuss the important question and the answers which may come in your exam. What were the Mahajanapadas? The Mahajanapadas were large ancient kingdoms that emerged around 600 BC. They played a significant role in the political and cultural development of ancient India, including regions like Magad, Kashi, Koshala, and Vajji. Why was Magad considered a powerful Mahajanapad? Magad was considered powerful because of its strategic location between rivers, fertile land for agriculture, access to resources like iron and copper, and a strong military with war elephants. Who was Bimbisar and what was he known for? Bimbisar was an early and prominent king of Magad. He is known for his policies of expansion through marriage alliances, conquest, and, and maintaining friendly relations with neighboring states. How did Ajatsatru strengthen Magadha's power? Ajatsatru, Bimbisara's son, strengthened Magadha by conquering Koshala and Vajji and building fortifications. His rule marked the peak of Magad's dominance in the region. What type of government was found in the Mahajanapadas? The Mahajanapadas had two types of governments: monarchies, where kings ruled, and republics, like Vajji, where leaders were chosen or elected by the people. What role did taxes play in the economy of ancient Mahajanapadas? Taxes funded public services, administration, military, and infrastructure projects like roads and canals. Farmers, herders, and craftsmen contributed taxes in the form of produce, animals, or labor. Why was the location of Magad important for its development? Magad's location near the Ganges and Son rivers provided fertile soil for agriculture, natural defenses from hills, and easy access to trade routes, all contributing to its growth and prosperity. Describe the impact of Alexander the Great's invasion on Indian kingdoms. Alexander's invasion introduced Greek culture and political instability, which weakened some northern Indian kingdoms, creating conditions that later helped the rise of Maurya Empire under Chandragupta Maurya. Who was Porus and what was his significance in the battle against Alexander? Porus was an Indian king who ruled the region between Jhelum and Chenab rivers. He is significant for his brave resistance against Alexander in the Battle of Hydaspes, earning Alexander's respect. What were the main teachings of Buddhism and Jainism? Buddhism taught the middle path, avoiding extremes, and the Eightfold Path for enlightenment. Jainism emphasized non-violence, ahimsa, truth, and asceticism as core values. How did trade contribute to the prosperity of ancient Mahajanapadas? Trade allowed the Mahajanapadas to exchange goods, acquire wealth, and interact with distant regions. Trade networks supported economic growth and helped fund the military and public projects. What was the importance of elephants in the Magadhan army? Elephants played a crucial role in the Magadhan army, giving it a strategic advantage in battles. They were powerful in combat, intimidating to enemies, and could break through enemy formations. So that was all about the rise of Magad. In our next video, we are going to discuss in detail about the Mauryan Empire. Please support me so that I can bring brighter contents in future. Thank you so much for your love and support.